ready.
Yeah, let's go.
I have them right here.
Actually, I didn't know how serious the injury was going to be. I was thinking about timelines, and I was thinking like, okay, if it's a pulled calf muscle or something like that, maybe I'm out a month, maybe a month and a half, 2 months.
It was really scary when I saw that he needed to get help, off the field. I know Sean Davis helped him.
But in no way was I thinking that it was going to be a torn Achilles by any means until the doctors got in the locker room and told me.
He reached out to me after the game and he said he was going to be out for 12 months, and my heart just sank. And
I'm the medical director and head team physician for both the New York Red Bulls and the Brooklyn Nets. Achilles tendon ruptures are obviously devastating because of the historical impact that it had not only on lost time but on performance. Aaron and I chatted, and we decided that Dr. O'Malley would probably be the best person, quite frankly, not just at HSS but in the world.
The Achilles tendon, the calf muscles used to be loaded 1,000 times a day. So if you leave it alone for a week just to sit there, it's not really good.
He was so calm and relaxed during it. He was like showing me pictures, and I'm like about to go into surgery, and I was like, oh my God, like what's gonna happen? But he was so calm. He's like, listen, I got you. I do this all the time,
during surgery, I was like pretty nervous, just hoping that it was going to go well. And he said, everything went great. He told me, about how long the recovery is going to be and what I need to do for him. And
what did you need to do?
He told me about all the meds he needed to take and when, and so the little things that I could do to help.
Yeah, that was nice. He asked me for her phone number and my mom's phone number before the surgery.
He made me feel really good that, he was just going to get back to his normal self.
So Aaron had surgery, had an open approach. We make an incision for the Achilles tendon. We put the ends back together. And then after a couple of days, we start moving this calf. We want to wake that calf muscle up because one of the biggest problems is calf atrophy afterwards. So he moved after 2 or 3 days. We started him doing some home exercises, and by 2 weeks, he was doing physical therapy.
So it's just like a lot of, 2 or 3 weeks to yourself and to your thoughts. But silver lining, a lot of family time.
Oh my gosh, yeah, she's obsessed with her dad, and again, he's just so playful with her, and roughhouses with her, and she gets all of that because I don't really give that to her, so she gets that from her dad, and they just have the best time together.
Yay, 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 yay.
To be fair, so many people for that. Of course, it was amazing to have him home for, this long period of time without having to, leave for games every other weekend or multiple weekends in a row. But it was definitely bittersweet, and I would have rather not had that.
Well, come on.
Of course. But, it was really, really nice. And it was right when Kaya was about a year old, so there was some fun times. I think he was here when she took her first steps. He was here when she took her first steps, and I think
I think the team was away at the time, so I would have been gone. So just like little things like that.
Big milestones that he was, here for. So it was really special.
I think a lot of the time you just would have been up in the boot and I don't know, on my phone or watching a show.
Yeah. I think he would have been in your head a lot more, but you had her as such a distraction that he could, he had to.
So easy to keep your, you don't want to get too far into those thoughts, and go down rabbit holes, but I think it's the easiest way ever to keep yourself busy when you have a kid.
He has this internal drive. For a minute, he just didn't look like Aaron. He was so deflated. But it didn't take long until he had changed that clock. But he said, I'm expecting to be back in 4 or 5 months. I said, son, it's really not that short of an injury. He said, I know, Dad, but I'm working on it.
Basically, in our family, it's just get up and keep moving. Put it in the past and move ahead.
They gave me the timeline that they are kind of required to give me, or the baseline timeline, which is that 9 to 12 months.
The athletes can be variable, but the highly motivated athlete, Aaron, he was back so quick. He was back by 5 months doing drills. He was ahead of the curve the entire time.
I kind of knew early in my rehab how things were going, and that I was a little bit ahead of schedule. And again, I didn't want to push it, and I wasn't trying to be a hero by any means. I could tell early on in my rehab that it was going to be a quicker recovery than they thought.
He did all sorts of just manual therapy with the therapist here on strengthening. Everything's designed to keep the muscle going and to let the tendon to heal.
Him just coming home and being excited about the things that he was progressing on, and
Like walking?
being able to do.
I could walk today.
Yeah. I mean, which was, so fun, him being excited again about, the game.
So the thing that Aaron had access to that the rest of us don't have access to is once we got him to a point where he could actually walk and travel, he went to APC and he did treatment for 8 hours a day. And I really think that helped him.
He came in and just offered it to me in a very humble way, saying, listen, our facility is at your disposal. Being a part of Red Bull, it might be a great way for you as an athlete and for you and your family to break up that rehab. You're going to be stuck for 9 to 12 months doing rehab in New York, in Manhattan. It might get a little bit old. Maybe you can use this as a way for you and your family to come to Austria, get your mind in a different place. You have 2 weeks away. It can almost feel like a vacation for them. And we can just tweak your rehab and do some really cool things. We have some really great machines, things like that.
There's no way he wasn't coming back. I mean, from the time I met him, there's no way he wasn't going to return to the form he was before. He was at 5 months, he was doing some things that I've never seen anybody do. Some of his jumping and his agility drills at 5 months, no one does that. After 700 or 800 of these things, and I fixed, I think, 40 on professional athletes, he's the fastest. He's definitely the fastest.
To watch the U.S. team, they were in Gold Cup and Nations League at the time, World Cup qualifiers, and then with the Red Bulls I missed. I think I only played the first 5 games of the season, so to watch them go through a lot of tough moments early on in that season and feel like I wanted to be there and help the team, it was terrible. And then when we made that amazing push at the end of the year to make the playoffs, it's like there was so much momentum growing within the group. And they would come back from these away trips with these amazing stories and like in the best mood. Made me miss that like locker room feel, I love that stuff. I love those away game wins. We got a whole bunch of them this year now. Again, it's the best feeling getting on the plane with the group and everyone's in the best mood and joking around, and so that was one of the tougher parts.
First of all, it's very good to see Aaron here. And also, nevertheless, with the situation, I can see him smiling. It's very good that you are here.
The World Cup at the end of this year was always like the final goal, right? Like, what do I have to do to get back in the national team picture and to hopefully make the World Cup roster? That's like the end goal. But then there was obviously a lot of time before that, a year and a half. So I wanted to get through my whole rehab without having any hiccups, without like re-injuring anything or having to like take a step back, because I'm pushing too hard. I wanted to start the first game of the season with Red Bulls this year. I told myself I wanted to, I guess, have that be my first game back and not have it take, a couple games into the season before I was ready to play.
To see him so happy, I know he's happiest when he's playing, right? So I think it's just been like a really good year and he's, met all of his goals thus far. It's
always cool to be named captain, especially coming after some of my great friends, like Sasha, Luis, Sean Davis, Dax McCarty. Like, I keep in touch with all these guys still. So that was probably the coolest part for me, is going through the transition of Red Bull 2 and looking up to these guys.
He wanted to get back with the national team. He's done that. Just recently he was named an MLS All-Star, and that was incredible, coming back from such a crazy injury. And I think it's just been really good vibes in our household, and I'm just really proud of him.
Since the injury, the progress has probably been how I approach small things day to day, like rehab or warm up or mentality things, and how I treat my body, and maybe a little overprotective now in certain ways, but happy birthday, kind of. Little things like that, kind of the approach to trainings, the approach to games and rituals and things like that, to make sure that I'm giving myself the best chance to either have a good game or the best chance to be well prepared. Happy birthday to who? What? Thank you.